Welcome to the Prosperity Podcast with your host, Brian Davey, focusing on economic empowerment in Northern Ontario. Join us for dynamic guests sharing ideas, stories, and news that fuel Indigenous business growth. Discover success stories and cutting-edge strategies to unlock the potential of Indigenous entrepreneurship. This is the Prosperity Podcast because when we grow together, we all prosper. Let's get started. Today we're going to be talking to Sterling Finlayson, who is the owner of Boozhoo Productions, originally from Long Lake 58. And I think you still live there, right?
Or I live in Thunder Bay.
You live in Thunder Bay now, eh? Okay. So let's talk about, you have a very interesting story. One of the reasons why I thought it was very interesting that we invite you to talk to us today is achieving a business that you've established and have been going now for a number of years. Maybe you can start off, first of all, just when did you start the business, and then we can get into what led you to starting the business. Maybe just let's start with that. What is the business, and when did we start with it?
Well, my business is Boozhoo Productions. It's a video production company. I started it in 2022. And it's an idea from my old passion. I went to school for broadcasting TV and video back in 2001, and that education couldn't correlate with my dreams because I was stuck in active addiction and alcoholism. So I lost it during the way, and I got sober in 2012, and I found it again. It found me, actually. I was doing a placement with Matawa First Nation Management, and then I ran into this guy. His name is John Zupan. He was doing a live stream for Matawa First Nations Management, and I was looking at his camera, and I told him, that's such a nice camera. I told him, I said, and then I told him a bit about my story, and I told him, I wanted to be, in the movies, making a movie, or being an actor. And he tells me, really? I said, yep, that was my passion, but I said my life was not conducive to that type of, work, you could say. So then I told him, now I'm sober, and I've been sober. At that time, I was sober for about maybe two and a half years. And then he tells me, well, you know what? It's your lucky day. And I thought he was going to say giving away the camera or something. but then he tells me, no, if you really want to learn, he says, if you could make it out to my office here on the reserve, Fort William First Nation, every day in the morning by 9:30, I'll train you for free, and I'll give you a ride back after each day to your apartment. So I told him, no way. I said, sure, I'll do it.
What kind of training was this?
He owned a production company such as mine. He did live streaming for NAN. He did live streaming for Matawa. He did live streaming for the chief and council here before as well.
Right.
So I worked with him for 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of equipment were they using back then?
Well, he had a TriCaster.
Okay.
And he had Sony cameras, professional grade Sony cameras.
Right.
And yeah, so after 6 months, he hands me a check and tells me, you're working for me now. So I did placement basically for 6 months. Yeah. And I got to learn how to do operate his editing suite, Adobe Premiere Pro. I got to learn to run the TriCaster. I got to learn how to make CDs, all the things he did in his business. That's what I kind of did. So yeah, my Boozhoo Productions is kind of a spin-off to that with a couple additions to it. I've got a couple other things that I do in regards to photography. So I do event photography, and I do portrait photography. And it said in one of your questions, what's diverse to my company? And I just wanted to say that my one diversity is that when I do my event photography or my portrait photography, I do have the software and the hardware to print my 8x10 portraits and give them to my customer right at the site. So it's I have everything all in one setup. My laptop, I got my editing software, I got the hardware to make it. So it's one thing that I'm going to be utilizing this December with Nishkandiga. Actually, I'm going to be doing their Christmas party, and then I'm going to be doing my reserves Christmas party with that as well.
Awesome. Let's go back a little further. Was there a passion at one point where you felt like this is all, this is what I always wanted to do, or did it just arrive later in life, or was this something that you thought of when you were 13 years old, 14 years old, or when did it dawn on you that this is something that you really want to do and you're passionate about it?
I gotta say that the passion, it stemmed from dramatic arts, I'm thinking, back in high school. And dramatic arts was my favorite class because, because acting, you don't really need to do paperwork. You need to do some paperwork, but not really. Read scripts, whatnot. And I just loved it. Like, in theater, it's just, you're free. You could be someone else. Maybe that was the problem. I didn't want to be myself too, but in acting, I just found freedom. And I loved movies. I loved Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. That was one of my all-time favorites. Like Jim Carrey, he's an amazing actor. And then Dumb and Dumber, and then There's Something About Mary. So, like, all of that. And so moving forward, I said, I want to become an actor, but if I don't become an actor, I'm going to do something in camera, making movies or making documentaries, because I just love to be in front of the camera, but I also like to put other people in front of the camera to tell their story, because I don't know, I think it accentuates your personality when you go in front of the camera. Or if you put someone in front of there, like, I'm not a big reader, maybe that's why.
Yeah.
And I'm more of a visual guy. Like, I like that type of deal.
Yeah. In your information that you sent to us prior to the podcast, and some of the things we talked about was the difficult problems related to addictions and how you resolved that and moved on to continuing with your life. That must have been hard. There's a lot of people that I'm sure, friends and relatives, have gone through a similar experience. So how did you manage to step out of that type of issue or problem or addiction or whatever it is and moved right into something that you love? I guess that's the question.
Yeah, there's one thing that I learned. I think it's probably the biggest thing that I've learned in recovery, and it's that my story has to be authentic as much as possible. And it has to be the darn see-through truth. I can't augment it. I can't, you know what I mean? So in saying that, the biggest catalyst, I think, that brought me into recovery was almost dying. And so this is how it happened. I got picked up and I got thrown in jail. I've been drinking for 6 months. I've been doing drugs about the same amount of time. And when I was in jail, I had a seizure in the middle of the night. And in jail, they just can't come get you and come in the thing. They need protocol, and they have to, one person goes in, another person goes in. So by the time they got to me, it was like almost 15 minutes. So they brought me to the hospital, and the doc says that we're glad you came around because you had air deprivation to your brain because of the seizure and whatnot. So they asked me where I was. I thought I was back home, but I was really here in Thunder Bay in the jail. I mean, incarcerated. I was wondering why I was handcuffed to a bed. They told me, you're in jail, you're not free. And I said, wow, I don't even remember that. So they brought me in there, and from there, I ended up staying in jail for 1 year. And I gotta say, like, the first 3 months of my recovery, of being in jail, was like hell on earth, basically. It was like I was having nightmares every night, and the anxiety I felt in jail, it was like you get this panic attack, like you how can I get out of here? Like, someone let me out of here, and you couldn't get out. And the real jail, I think, was in my head, because I was stuck in my head. I couldn't get out. So then I think it was around December 1st, December 2nd, my head started to clear. The toxins came out of my body. And then finally I got up in the morning and I said, you know what? You want to just spend like another 10 months here and then just go exactly back to being who you were? Or do you want to at least maybe learn something new, and maybe get an idea or two from something? So I thought about it and I said, what haven't I done like in my life? What's something that I wish I would have done, but I tried and never? And one thing popped in my head, and it was read the Bible. I've never read the Bible from front to back. And I have nothing but time on my hands, so I'll do it. And let me tell you, it's good, exciting in the beginning, because you get Genesis, and then you get those little bit, things are happening. But let me tell you, once you get to Deuteronomy, hey, there's a lot of measurements and a lot of stuff going on. But I got through the Bible in, I think it was 3 months. After that, there was something in me that just said, okay, now you've accomplished this, but now you got to start fixing what's inside. You could learn as much as you can on the outside, but now you got to address what's on the inside. So that's when I went to the AA program, and I did the AA program a couple times here and there. I attempted recovery 8 big times, like really tried recovery. I gave it my all. I just couldn't get it. And then this time I went to the AA program, and they have the 2 steps, where it's came to believe in a higher power, and then made a decision to turn my life over to the care of God as I understood Him. Those 2 steps I've never done in my life. But this time, because I read the Bible and I understand a little bit more, I actually did those things. So the liberation came after that. And then another crucial part was of my recovery is I never went back to the same environment that I practiced alcohol and
different
drugs.
Friends.
Yeah. Because if I would have went back home, that was it. It would have only been a matter of time before I did, like go back to drinking.
Slip up or
yeah. And when you slip up at home, there's no recovery like support. Like you can't go in the detox. You can't go. There's maybe counselors, but it's. So I stayed in Thunder Bay. And like, if you want me to get into meat and potatoes of the whole thing, I can tell you that'll be for another podcast. But I'm just giving you a full overview of how it happened.
Yeah. There's because a lot of folks that are going through similar situations. I guess I guess there's some benefits to ending up in jail. I guess because you are left alone. Presumably you shouldn't have access to the drugs and anything else to continue, right? So, or alcohol, and it gave you time to go through the very tough process of going through what do you call that? Where you're going through, you're trying to get rid of it out of your system. Detox? No, maybe it's the wrong word I'm using. But it seemed like it was a struggle to try and get through that. And then once you got through it, then you turn your mind to the spiritual side of you. In your case, you just found the Bible and that worked for you. You read the whole thing from, was it cover to cover pretty much?
Yeah, cover to cover.
And
except for Revelation. I leave Revelation out of it now. I wait till later.
Yeah, so it made a lot of sense to you, right? And then you use that as a base to spring forward and strength in your life again. So that's an amazing story. And now the next thing that I wanted to ask, okay, so business is a risky business, isn't it, in itself, and it sometimes it can be difficult. There's a lot of ups and downs, the risk involved, and frustration. But it seemed like you were mentally prepared to take that on. Is that a correct thing to say?
Well, going to school for it, basically, I went to a Confederation College. I did the business marketing admin program, which is a 3-year program.
Mm-hmm.
I went through that, and you would think it would be beneficial, which it was in some ways, because it's got the strong points. It holds the strong points of business. It gives you guidance on, like it gives you guidance in ways that you got to prepare yourself for a business. You can't just jump in and then think it'll automatically run, because if you don't build your foundation first, you won't have nothing to stand on after. So and from there, I learned about research. Mind you, research was not my forte in going to school, but I did a bit of research, and right now I'm in branding myself. So I'm building my website. My website's actually built. I'm just kind of gonna give it when you set the date for opening and all that. I'm thinking I'm gonna let my website open in January to begin there. And I got my business card here, so it's not too shabby. Really small writing.
Not too shabby for Anishinaabe.
Yeah, not too shabby for Anishinaabe. And so my business, the things that I'm overcoming the most for my business is actually being self-motivated and accountable. So those are the two biggest things that really are the hardest to get, really, because you think that you got them down packed because I've done a job before, and in a job you just do certain tasks and you stay on task and you listen and it's good. But when you're running a business, you're the worker and you're the person, especially if you're just starting the business by yourself.
Yeah.
So I didn't have no one to answer to in the beginning, and so I kind of laid back to where I had to say, hey, you can't just do this anymore and do it whenever you want. Like, this is a job. You gotta go and create your stuff, or you can't wait for opportunity to fall in your lap. You gotta create opportunity. So you gotta network. You gotta do all the kind of stuff. And one thing I've learned is that it's always good to be ahead of the game, in a sense where I'm always researching new ideas and new ways of doing business. And I think that's where I got this idea. Was I had an idea that I wanted to make a YouTube channel where I would empower the addict or the person in recovery. So addict, alcoholic, doesn't matter who. And I wanted to make like something like that, so I could have a basis of having some, I guess like it'll show my video side of it, and it'll show my, I'll be able to use my, what do you call it, recovery. Yeah. And I'd be able to help other people without actually even being in their house, or even in that's something like, there's ideas like that I
it's it sounds like you're taking your emotional experience, which is traumatic, I guess, in some ways, and you're using an emotional base to develop something that will put money on the table, pay for your bread and butter, but also it'll allow you to exercise or take advantage of your passion, which was always, it seems to be in media, you know, in acting and filming and things like that. So you're combining, it seems like you're combining both and using it to your advantage. And I, you know, that's usually a winning formula in a lot of cases where you take what's emotionally strong in you, whether it be negative or positive or a learning experience, and then leveraging that experience into a business that will tap into that emotion and share it where others will benefit. I mean, that's a good. Am I correct? Is that basically what you're trying? Is that path you're trying to follow? Is that?
Yeah, in that area, like when you say like to garner to get business from my recovery is a little like pushing it hardcore, but like I mean it's like I'm gonna use people's stories for my benefit when it's like what I would in that area I would use it more of like more of a springboard for people to gain education on it, because there's a lot of scenarios where people are not educated in addiction and alcoholism. Like they may think of he's an alcoholic, so he must live on the street. Oh, he's an alcoholic, so he's probably stealing. He's probably stealing to support his habit, you know. And those are like old nuances that people think of an alcoholic. An alcoholic could be a person working in your organization. You don't even know it. You could be a fully functioning alcoholic, but you'll be empty on the inside, but you're working day to day. And people don't know that type of deal. They wonder, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel so empty? Or why does my life feel so blasé?
Yeah.
And when really, if you get this education, you'll know what that emptiness is on the inside, and you'll know how to fill it. And you know, so that's what I'm trying to, like, that education will not only support the people that are down and out, but it'll support the people who are actually maybe functioning very at a minimal rate, 20%, and bring you up to 90%. Next thing you know, your organization's flourishing. So, like, you know, there's different aspects like that I would like to educate people on with recovery, addiction, alcoholism. And there was one idea I was going to do with the girl there we were trying to write a grant proposal for, I keep forgetting that thing. But anyways, the grant proposal surrounded me interviewing people in different levels of addiction. So active addiction, someone who's trying to get sober, someone who's been sober for a long time, someone who's a functioning alcoholic and they do it every day. Like it was like a variety of that, so that I could educate people and show them alcoholics are not just, you know what I mean? They're like, people struggling with addiction are not just someone who look unwashed, and you know, it's not just that old picture. It's a broad thing. And you know, I'm glad there's a lot of people who are advocates for addiction and alcoholism recovery as well here in Thunder Bay. There's a couple good shows that I think one person made a good documentary. I forget the name of it, but and it's pretty cool. And so we gotta fight this addiction and alcoholism in every aspect. We have to come at it in every way, because it's a very conniving disease. It traps you, and it blinds you, and you're stuck in it.
Right.
I was stuck in it for half my life. My dad passed away from it, and you know, I wish my dad would have been lucky enough to be me and find his way out. My dad, in my eyes, was 10 times more successful than I was. Well, that's when you look up to your dad. That's probably why. But me, I got to look at myself in that way now too. Like, I'm just as successful. and I want to benefit others just as much as I'm reaping the benefits of it right now.
So going forward, just for the last few minutes we have, what is some of the major plans or the plans you think you're going to go from here with Boozhoo Productions, and also, well, I'll ask you, where can we reach out to you, or where can we find out more, and the website and all that. But going forward, what's in your plans for the company that you started? Where are you going to go from here?
One of the plans I got for my company called Boozhoo Productions, I want to build a team. So when I say build a team, right now my workers are contract workers. So
Yeah.
I bring them on per project, and I bring them on, when I need them. Or my boss is still my consultant. So when I get them, I give him money. Oh, I give him money regardless, because he never wants money. This guy, all he wants is I'll help you all the time. I tell him no, I give you. I tell him, but anyways, he's a good man. But anyways, moving forward, I want to establish my business to where I have enough equity where I could have employees, and I could have a running business in an office. That's my goal that I have for 2025. I'm learning something about running a business. You have to set goals. If you don't set goals, they're just not magically gonna happen. Like just make themselves happen. So that's one of them. Another one is I want to do more event live streaming. So I hear there's I want to do something like a hockey tournament or something, live streaming for that. I want to, and I have the ability to do it, and that's what I'd like to do. I bet you I could be like Bob Cole and everything. I always be an announcer or something. Like it's something in that avenue, and I think that's probably the big things about it. And
Right.
And branding. I'm almost done my branding, so once I get that, I'm going to celebrate it. They say celebrate little victories, and I guarantee you, once everything's out, I'm going to have a little celebration party, me and my dog, Silver. We're going to have a little...
Can you hold your card up to the camera a little bit so I can see if it's possible to focus it on? Yeah, here you go. Just want to show people that what you did with your branding so
There,
far.
I got my back, too.
Yeah.
It's so small.
That's great. Great. So where can people reach out to you? Is there an email address or a website, or if you want to learn more about your business and what you do?
My phone number is 807-355-8099 for the business.
Okay.
And my email is, I use this one for the time being, is boozhootv
Right.
@outlook.com. And my, what do you call it?
Website?
Website is boozhoo-productions.com.
Awesome.
So, I think everything should be going pretty soon. I do jobs now. It's been growing slowly as I went since 2022.
Yeah.
I had a full-time job, and then I not quit. I didn't, I told them, you don't have to extend my contract. I told them in March of this year, 2024. So I've been working ever since April, 100% in my business. And I've been building networking. I've been building my brand. I've been building the framework. So now I think we're ready for 2025. It's not even here yet. Still got one more month.
Yeah. Well, I thank you guys for being with us, and we're talking with Sterling Finlayson, who's the owner of Boozhoo Productions, and we look forward to having you back in 12 months and see where you're at and what you accomplished with your goals, and we'll look back to this point and see how it turned out.
Oh, thank you very much, Brian.
And say hi to your dog. Your dog's outside there. It was very surprising for us. This is the first time we've had a guest that come with their dog. We should have brought the dog in here too.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
There he goes with his lease pad.
The medallion comes from.
All right, thank you very much.
Miigwech.
That concludes another episode of the Prosperity Podcast with your host, Brian Davey, focusing on economic empowerment in Northern Ontario. Subscribe, rate, and comment to support Indigenous entrepreneurship. Remember, when we grow together, we all prosper. Stay inspired, stay innovative, and let's keep prospering together.
This video serves as general information. While we strive to offer accurate and current information, we do not provide any express or implied warranties regarding the completeness, accuracy, reliability, or suitability of the information presented in this video for your specific circumstances. Any reliance you place on this information is entirely at your own risk. We strongly recommend consulting a qualified professional before making decisions based on the content provided in this video to ensure it aligns with your unique situation.